They're so proud of me, so proud of me. They're so proud of me.
Yep. Thank you for coming on the show.
I'm so grateful for being here. Thank you for the invitation. I'm humbled by it to be a part of the Cagebreakers and the Mode Productions. It is an absolute honor. So thank you for thinking of me.
No problem. No problem. For the people who don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Wow, there's a lot to know about myself. I'm a college basketball coach. I get to represent the best university in the nation at Coastal Carolina University as their head women's basketball coach. I'm going into my 8th season there. You got to interview. Had the opportunity to coach some incredible athletes. You had the opportunity to have future Hall of Famer DJ Williams on your show, along with Arian Hamilton, Asia Blunt, and the list goes on and on for the great athletes that I had the opportunity to coach. So.
Right on. Yeah, definitely a great list, a great resume for sure. But I want to take it back real quick. Let's take it back to Berry University.
Okay.
Berry University. You balled out at Berry University.
I did. I was a college All-American. Had the opportunity to play for Jan Allen at Berry to start off my college career. Averaged a double-double, 20 and 10 during my time there. I was a Kodak All-American. Awesome. I couldn't have done it without my coach putting me in this position to be successful. And then I had phenomenal teammates. I got nothing but love for my city. Everything I do is to represent the young African-American girls that are coming out of that city. There, I met an amazing coach, Coach Paul Thomas. I always get him confused with my high school coach. My high school coach was Paul Torres. My college coach was Paul Thomas, and I went to Cal Poly Pomona. So went from coast to coast, where my role changed a little bit, but the standard of excellence never did. We were a regional team. I got to learn so much from him, and he's still one of my mentors to this day. It's going to be interesting. We're going to play them in December this year. So it's my first time playing my college coach. So I'm excited about the opportunity.
I'm excited for you. What was it after, such a stellar career at Berry University? And I even want to ask you real quick, we talk about that trait of excellence and, you being able to be a standout in college, women's basketball. What went into that?
I didn't play until my 9th grade year. It was interesting. I had no AAU teams. I had none of that stuff. We didn't even have AAU teams when I was in my city. We didn't have AAU teams. And so now they have the Miami Suns, who is run by those that coached me in high school. Shout out to them. And so I didn't play until 9th grade, and it was a complete accident. To be honest, I was walking around waiting to help with homework with one of the women's basketball players after school. And my high school coach, Paul Torres, came out of the weight room, and he was like, dang, I was this height in 9th grade. So he completely thought that I was going to grow taller. And he was like, baby, you play basketball? And I was like, no. He's like, you ever thought about it? I was like, not really. And he was like, come to tryouts. And so I went to tryouts, I want to say later that week, and I was terrible, god awful, horrible. Like, I still remember throwing the ball off the backboard, it was awful. And I made the team. 99% sure it was because I was taller than most people that were there. And then, I ended up with amazing teammates. Jamila Trimble, who ended up playing at the University of Florida, Marshik Witherspoon, who's at GW. Every single one of my teammates went to college to play basketball. Just got really good, really fast because I love the game, because it was fun. I could say work, but it never felt like work. Like
Mhm.
anytime there was a ball in the hoop, we wanted to play. It didn't matter when, where, who was there, what time, outside court, inside court, air conditioned, no air conditioned, rain, sleep. It was just so that I didn't have to be bored. I was raised an only child, so it was either
Mhm.
basketball with all my friends or go home by myself. And so
Mhm.
I chose to play basketball with my friends and just had fun doing it.
Wow. And you hit on something important, just having fun and it didn't feel like work.
Mhm.
Elaborate on that a little bit more because, like you said, all your teammates going D1 or the different schools,
Mhm.
Florida, GW,
Mhm.
but it not feeling like work, falling in love with the grind. Talk
Yeah.
about that because a lot of people nowadays like don't understand the blessing and the privilege they have to be able to play the game.
Right. For it was just a mindset. It's just like now I'm like, wow, I get to coach college basketball. That's like, it's the coolest job in the world. Literally, I get to have fun with my student athlete. I get comments time about, gosh, it looks like you guys are having so much fun. And I'm like, well, I try to make it a high stress environment as fun as it possibly can be while teaching the game and teaching life principles. I think the same goes into why I fell in love with the game. It was fun. It was fun to be competitive. It was fun to talk trash. It was fun to beat my teammates. It was fun to beat other teams. It was fun to bond together. And so, what people consider a grind, it didn't feel like a grind. It doesn't feel like a grind. It feels like something that I genuinely enjoy doing and enjoy dedicating my life to.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So ball out, high school, go to
Hmm.
college, you ball out.
Hmm.
What was it? I know you hit on it a little bit earlier, but what was it that said, "Hey, I wanna be a part of this game no matter what, and I wanna start coaching."
Well, I will tell you, it was actually, it wasn't something that was in my 10-year plan. It was interesting. It's God orchestrated all of it. I think when God has his hands on something, sometimes you are obedient and you listen. Sometimes you take your own path. For me, it just sort of aligned. So when I was done we lost in the Elite Eight. I believe we lost in the Elite Eight. We were coming home. We were in the airport, and our assistant coach at the time, Heather Jacobson was her name at the time. She decided that she told us all, hey, I am looking to step away from the game of basketball. She was going to get married, and she wanted to be a stay-at-home wife and mom. And so it was, we were all sad about it because everybody loved our entire staff. We all loved them. We were sad about it. And it wasn't until maybe a couple weeks I was talking to my dad, and he was like, "What are you going to do now?" And I'm like, I don't know. I told him, I'm like, I have a couple more classes before I'm done with my eligibility. I don't know if Coach Thomas is going to pay for it or not. And so he's like, why don't you just have a conversation with them? So I go into Coach Thomas's office. I'm like, what's up, buddy? This is maybe a couple days after season was done. I was like, look, coach, I need these couple classes cover. What can I do? And he was like, I'd absolutely help you, but you got to work for it. And I was like, okay, I'm not scared of work. What's up? And that's where it began. So I began working as like a graduate assistant, almost assistant coach, part-time worker for him, finished up my degree. And from there, it just took off.
I like it. I like it. I like it. You hit on something again. I want you to elaborate on. I'm gonna double back, but
Okay.
elaborate on. You said something that's key. You said, "I'm not scared to work."
Yeah.
I'm not scared to work.
No.
Elaborate on not being scared of working hard, earning, and things like that. Elaborate on that and why is that important?
It's part of my personality type. As a head coach, you learn that everybody has a different personality type. I am a goal driven individual. And so, as long as I can see that there's a goal or a marker to any type of success, I will work my behind off to get it. If there's a gold star to be earned, I want it. I think that this is what we always tell our athletes, or our athletes always joke about it. Somebody's got to win. Why not us? Somebody's got to be number one. Why not us? We're all doing the same amount of work as every single person in this nation, all 300 some odd Division I teams. Why not us? And so if there's an opportunity to be the top, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to be there.
I love that. Right. Why not?
Why not? I mean,
Why not?
who does all this to be number 2 and 3 and 4? Like,
Exactly. And I like that mindset, because even, during my travels and things of that nature, like a lot of times teams get beat by decals. You're like, oh, we're going against this team, we're going against that team. I'm like, they train just like we train. They
correct.
just like,
Correct. I'm so fortunate to have student athletes that they don't care who's on the other side. I mean, I guess it's why we made it through such a rough patch last year, was they didn't care. Every time we stepped on the court, even with just 6 players, they were like, what's up? And it was such a great character thing. I think it takes you through life. Like, I don't know. That's just how we're wired. That's how Chanticleer is wired. I can't really speak to more than that.
No, I definitely understand. You on this journey, you've been many places where you are now. But one thing that I like is, again, what it's all about. You're not just a basketball coach. You more than a basketball coach. You do so much. And one of the things that stood out to me was during your time at Wake Forest. Not only did you do the daily grind and things of that nature, but you went above and beyond to make sure that all the student athletes' grades were on point.
Yeah.
Talk about that and the importance of that.
I think that God has given us a platform. We get to compete. We get to play basketball. We get to play a sport that is the best sport in the land, in my opinion. And so while doing this sport, I also think that it is important that we develop the other parts of our student athletes, champions for life. I think that is something that is important. It's like, we want champions on the court, but I want champions for life, because ultimately these 4 years are going to fly by. And I pray that we win a whole lot of championships, and we're going to work to win a whole lot of championships. But ultimately, it's about those 70 something odd years that you're going to have. And how are you prepared for life? And so the first thing is, for me, the academic portion of it. Even our student athletes, we have won an academic award in the Sun Belt Conference for having over 3.0 as a team since we entered the Sun Belt. It's super important because, number one, education is extremely important. I coach a lot of first generation graduates, a lot of them. It is something that our program is extremely proud of, being able to change that, because education, just the knowledge, changes family trees. I think that also just the discipline that you get from the study. I understand that not everybody's going to go to college, but just having the discipline to make it in whatever business that you're going to have, I think that's super important for our student athletes to learn. So one thing that our student athletes learn really quickly is our program is very serious when it comes to academics. Our summer GPA was just a 4.0. We just had all of our athletes knock out an A in their summer school classes.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats.
They did it. We just applied pressure. They did it, though.
Hey, you got to. And on that note, what is the most important thing that your players have taught you?
God, they've taught me more than anyone. I think that the first one is process. Now have gone through 2 classes of students being a head coach at a very young age, I they have taught me process, patience, and without a doubt, unconditional love, and what that looks like and what that means. They have given me so much more that I hope to even have taught them a little bit of what they've taught me. So I would say that patience, process, unconditional love.
All right, on. And I love the camaraderie. I love watching you guys work.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the season because I'm gonna be out there watching
Yes.
because I love it. And
Yes.
you don't just represent the basketball or women's basketball. You represent you show love to everybody.
Yeah.
What's
Oh,
going
for
on, and I love that about you. I love
For
that about you.
sure. That's Coastal Carolina though. That's not me. I actually want to give props to Jamie Chadwell. He has done a phenomenal job of showing up for all of our sports. He has made it, us in the HTC Center, we've always had sort of a camaraderie because that's where we work. That's men's, women's basketball, and volleyball. And so we are always in contact with each other. So it's very easy to keep up. I'm working a late night, volleyball is on the court, go down to a volleyball game, support. We share a gym. We have to work together all the time. I think what Coach Chadwell did a great job was crossing the field house and the HTC Center. Making sure that everybody felt loved and supported. He sent our athletes to our games. Our athletes go to his games all the time. Soccer has been phenomenal. Softball has been supportive. We share professional development ideas with one another. I think Coastal Carolina as a whole does a great job of supporting one another. And that starts with our leadership, Matt Hogue. I think Matt just provides an environment to where if you're Chanticleer, you're Chanticleer through and through, and everybody loves and supports everyone there.
Shout out to Coastal Carolina. Shout out to Coastal Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Again, what do you feel like, during your time, what separates a good player or a decent player from a great player?
I think what we talked about is just the ability to have fun with it, the ability to buy into the process. I think the ability to go hard, it doesn't matter. Every day is a new day. Yesterday doesn't count. Tomorrow isn't here. What you do in today's workout, today's practice, determines ultimately who you're going to be. And so I think that that's what makes a great player, just the dedication and the know-how of knowing that every time isn't going to be the best time. Mm-hmm. I think that understanding the ebbs and flows of life, understanding the ebbs and flows of college basketball, and still deciding that you're going to be the best you can be, because being great is a decision. It's just not something that falls onto your lap. That I've never heard a story of just, I woke up and I was great. It takes hours and hours of not giving up, buying in, doubting yourself, doubting the system, doubting everyone, doubting everything, and putting that to the side and deciding that this is most important. That was what led DJ to being player of the year in the Sun Belt. That's what led Nyaria Hamilton to being defensive player of the year in the Sun Belt. It was deciding that winning games was more important. Being the best possible player that they could be was more important than anything else, because everything else was going to happen. That's life. Yes. But being great is a decision that you have to make.
Yes. I like that. Being great is a decision.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Yes, I like it. What was the most memorable game thus far in your career, and why?
Gosh, we were just talking about this. We were literally just talking about there's so many games. But I would be remiss if I didn't talk about DJ Williams, 51 points. Like, as I'm further removed from the game, I can't believe I sat on the sideline and coached a game while a student athlete scored 51 points. And we won. And we took first place of the league. Mm-hmm. And so it's still a mind-blowing experience. There's so many that I remember, though. So many, even way back in the day. There's so many that I remember, but that has to be the most recent in my memory. That I just am like, that is a classic, an ESPN classic.
It's a classic for sure, and that's one of the reasons why I even started to like you have great coaches you admire.
Yes.
John Wood, people like that,
Yeah.
and you are that to me.
Mhm.
Not only because of the great person you are and great coach you are, but even the significance of that game and how you handled the situation with DJ and everything she went through.
Mm-hmm.
And that
She was.
game just kind of being a stamp, for her overcoming all the obstacles and adversities, and you
Yep.
know, the team, just being by her side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it,
Yeah.
it, it shows what happens when you don't give up on your players, and it's the interdependence. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
for
that's
real,
that's the unconditional love I talk about,
yes.
and kind of having a understanding of there's a bigger picture. We're all here. I don't hate to feel like I'm dropping a rap verse. We're all here on a
Mhm.
particular path. You don't need a curriculum to know that you're a part of the math. Cats think I'm serious, but I'm so that was what a Kanye West Never Let You Down thing. We're all here for a particular reason. We all showed up here for a reason.
Yes.
And we're all interconnected for a reason.
Yeah.
And DJ's story is certainly special.
Mhm.
And she's certainly someone that is still and will forever be dear to my heart.
Mhm.
I always tell her God has something great for her. And now she's an evangelist speaking
Yeah.
word to
Yes.
everybody. So,
Yes. Higher calling.
sometimes he's like, who needs prayers? I'm like, girl, put me on the list,
Yeah. You know what I mean?
all the time.
Higher calling.
For sure.
A higher calling for sure. So again, like I said, you just being an amazing person you are. Who are the people who influence you?
Ooh, wow. I'm going to give you probably an answer you don't care to hear, which is anyone who is achieving excellence. I am a complete fan of, no matter what sport they are, no matter men's or women's basketball, football, hockey, softball. It really doesn't matter. I'm a fan of anyone achieving excellence, and I'm a fan of anyone who overcomes um, adversity to achieve excellence. I am a proud member of the Women of Color for women's basketball. And all of those women are freaking amazing
Mhm.
because we only understand what it's like to do our job, which is a high intensity job at predominantly PWIs, where, we're the only ones who speak our language, pretty
Yep.
much.
Yep.
And so those women provide such inspiration to me. And then there's my college coach, Coach Thomas, Coach Torres, my high school coach. Then there's Coach Vanessa, my associate head coach. She is freaking amazing. If you haven't met Coach Vanessa, you would know she's like a godsend. She's an amazing woman. I'm so blessed to have the opportunity to work with her. Um,
Mhm.
you know, C. Vivian Stringer. God, she is the GOAT of all GOATs. Who takes three different teams to a Final Four? Only C. Vivian Stringer. And the rest. Phil Jackson is probably one of my favorites too. So
Yeah. Wow, I like that list. I
thank
like that list. I like it. No, that's salute to, everybody who's contributed,
you.
6 degrees of separation. Everybody
Yeah,
plays
yeah.
their part. As you know, this is the Cagebreaker show. So I have to ask you, it's a two-part question.
Okay.
One, are you a cage breaker? And two, what cages have you broken out of? Meaning, like, what obstacles have you overcome, or things you didn't let limit you? So, are you a cage breaker, and what
Okay.
cages have you broken out of?
Um, all right. So I would say being the first African American head coach for women's basketball at Coastal Carolina is definitely a cage breaker.
Mhm.
Having the opportunity to be the only African American head coach at the university um, is something that has always been, I am very proud of it, but I also am really, really rooting for us to get more in those doors. Let's see, what else? Other cages that have been broken. I don't know. My staff will do a much better job of talking about me than me. But I think the most important part of it is being able to be more than just a recruiter. I think that that's something that our African American coaches in basketball struggle with, is because we're always labeled as that. And so, what I've been very proud to boast is every single person that I've worked for, and even at my university, I've been known as more than a recruiter. Our program has been known as more. We've been development, we've been X's and O's, we've been all of that. And so that has been something very, very awesome. I think the other thing is giving opportunity to young African Americans. I think that sometimes some people are afraid, of the path that we've taken, in terms of we have a ton of first generation graduates because of the lack of knowledge of how college is supposed to go. But for us, we're not afraid. We embrace the challenge. I want somebody that, when I look at these young women, I look at myself when I was young, somebody just giving an opportunity to me because of an athletic talent. And so those are some of the cages that we break. And honestly, as a staff, I never hire people because they fit male, female, black, white, or anything. And I know HR rules, you're supposed to say that, but you look around our sport and it's something that is talked about. I think one of the things that I've been able to do is, try to put my finger on. I don't get it right all the time, but just talent and hiring talent. And so that's something that I think that, without paying attention to the color, gender, or any other thing that they may come with.
I like it.
Thank you.
So you are a cage breaker.
I guess I would say so. I think so.
I would say, being the first, African American coach at Coastal.
Yeah.
Is that what? Really?
Well, not there was a young man that was for men's basketball prior to me. He was here for, I want to say maybe 3-4 years, 2-3.
But first, I can't remember. First women's basketball head coach, and currently the only one representing our university. No, that is awesome. That is awesome for sure. What advice, there's a lot of young people out there who, everybody wants to make it to the next level. What advice would you give to the young people, especially the young ladies who are out there who want to go to college and, want to make it to the next level?
I would say just work as hard as you can on your craft and enjoy it. Work as hard as you can and enjoy it. I think be good at something. So when we go out recruiting, we're talking in our recruiting meetings. The first question is, I saw this player that was, long and wiry and super athletic. My next question is always, what does she do? So be good at something and own it. Don't shy away from it. Keep your strengths. Of course, work on your weaknesses, but someone's going to find value in something that you bring. And so they have to do something. And so when we recruit young women, we're always, if she never develops, if she doesn't grow in this area, what can I count on her to bring to our program day in and day out? And so that's something that I would encourage. Just we sometimes shy away from what we're great at. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yes.
Work
yes.
and love whatever it is that you do.
Yes, definitely. That's it. Yeah, we do shy away from it, or a lot of times people are afraid to be great, but like you said, what makes you valuable?
Correct.
That's the key.
that. Just work on that. You got a good shot. Great. You a lockdown defender, locked down. Then every time you get on the court, you bring the energy, bring the energy. You're a great high fiver, bring the great high fives. Whatever it is, be great at whatever it is that you bring. Somebody's going to find value in that.
Yeah. And like I said, watching you guys and the way the team moves and the camaraderie, I do have to ask you this. And the backstory of this question is, I have a book. It's called Misinformed. I'm a 2-time bestseller.
Read it. Is it on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. It's on outthecage.com.
Okay.
Barnes and Noble. Yeah, it's out there. It's called Misinformed. And the basis of this book and why I do what I do with student athlete development is kind of like what you said. I've seen a lot of athletes from where I'm from. And even when I played in college, I played at the University of Colorado, got to play at K-State, like professionally, wherever. I've seen a lot of athletes fall off due to like poor decision making, bad grades, entitlement, things of that nature, you know?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of athletes fall. So even I just want to ask you real quick, like, have you seen that, you know, from coming from your community to now? Have you seen that?
Of course. I think that, you know, for every success story, there's a couple of non-success stories. And, you know, for the life of me, as a coach, I don't understand, you know, I promise you that, like, there's players that are going to find success and those that aren't. And you could have someone from an equally awesome background or a equally troubled background, and both of those student athletes will respond differently. And so when it comes to nature versus nurture, sometimes what's in you is in Nipsey Hussle. If it's in you, it can't be taken away, and you're going to ultimately be driven for that success. And so it's a quote I think I saw somewhere on Twitter. I was like, someone asked twin boys. Someone asked one of them, you know, who was a raging alcoholic, why are you the way that you are? His response was, I saw my father do this, so this is how I am. Then they asked his brother the same question, who was successful in life, who was doing great things, who was, you know, just driven for success. And his response was, I saw my father do what he did, and that's why I'm the way I am. So it's literally, I think, my study of student athletes, it comes down to what's inside of you. You can make excuses or you can make testimonies. It's up to you.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
Wow. You got two, do you need to use it as fuel or as a crutch?
You could, and whatever it is, it's going to be so real for you.
Yeah.
So you decide what it is that you want your story to be.
It goes back to what you said earlier. Greatness is a choice.
It's a choice.
That's a jewel. And
some of us are so afraid of our own greatness, or we want someone else to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
And the only person that's responsible for success or failure is you. There's not a coach. There's not a playing time. There's not a practice. You define what it is you are going to be in this life.
You dropping jewels. For real. I got like 3 more questions.
Okay.
And one is to go off of what we just talked about, because, you know, we talk about the character and things of that nature, and you guys have such a good culture. What does it look like to be an asset to the team? Be an asset in general? Because like I said, if I'm a freshman or a transfer coming into your program, like, I got to bring value and I got to be an asset, because the way you guys move on the court, off the court, like, it's like you're not coming in here messing up this energy. So What are you bringing? So what does it look like to be an asset?
Wow. So first of all, you can't have great followers if you don't have great leadership. And so I think our returning class has been amazing in their leadership and their guidance of our young people. I think that we read several books by Jan Jensen, John Gordon. We learn what being a leader is. So our staff does a great job of equipping our returners with that information, and of course pouring into them as the years go on. But I think what they have told our young people is, just make sure you're going as hard as you can, staying as positive as you can. It's a progression, not perfection. Perfection is, something that is unattainable and won't be able to be reached. But as long as you're making progress, coach is going to be okay with you. They over communicate. They do a great job. And what it is about providing, just being an asset to the program, is just bringing whatever coach saw in you to the table every single day. So whatever that was, buy into the Coastal Carolina way. And then whatever coach has said, this is your job when you get to college, they go about and they do that.
No, that's real. And no, that's definitely real. And people need to take heed to that. You got me thinking over here, man. You for real. I have to ask, with so much wisdom, so much knowledge, the places you've been, your journey, you still like, this is just the start. Still, like, we haven't experienced the surface. You still doing great things. Is there a quote or like a moniker you live by?
There's so many that inspire me. And so it just depends on the day or the week. I love the 45 Laws of Matt. I mean, those are super, super, super simple and can be applied to everyday life. It's an African science. Nobody is a tree. You're not stuck in any situation. You give what you get. That's universal law. No matter what, you give what you get. There's so many, like, it's just, what am I calling on that day? What aligns with me that day? There's so many.
I like that. You give what you get. So each day brings something different.
For sure.
Yeah. Each day brings something different. Like each year, like for myself, each year I have like one word that's gonna be my word for the year. Like, you have like patience, flourish, discipline. What is your one word for this year, this upcoming season?
Present.
One word.
Present. I'm going to be present in every moment. That's something that I talk to my staff about in the summer. It's something that I am working with the daily meditations and just being present in each moment, being present for our staff and student athletes, being present for the job, being present for the competition, not moving too far forward, not going too far back, but just being present and enjoying this, because these years flew by faster than I could have ever imagined. And I enjoy being fully present.
I love it. I love it. And I want to thank you for taking the time out to come on the show.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, for your resilience. I know last year you guys were balling on the way to great things, and the pandemic happened, and kind of took that away. And I'm still seeing no pouting. It's like, okay, this happened, but we're gonna adjust. So I love the resilience. And
all shout out to my student athletes. They were that kept us strong. Trust me, it was all of them.
Because it was you guys were doing, been doing great things, but it's like you're building up, you're balling, like, and then this happens, But I look at it as like, when you're at the airport and the plane, like, you can't, because they're like, hey, it's a storm. Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? And instead of pout, you guys like, okay, we're gonna control what we can control and just go back to work.
Yeah.
And I love to see it.
That was my girls. They were amazing, amazing. I've never had they're the greatest group of humans
Mhm.
that you could ever coach. And like they were amazing and they stuck it out. Now, not saying that every day was perfect,
Mhm.
or even the feeling once we got to the end was perfect, but they are incredible people
Yeah.
who, you know, everyone calls a leader fearless, and that drives me nuts because we're not. There's no
Mhm.
such thing as a fearless leader. We are actually full of as much fear as everyone else. The difference is being able to lead, make decisions, and trust your instinct during those moments. And my student athletes fueled our season last season. That's what they wanted to do. And I was full of fear. And their belief of, yo, we're trying to get better, we're here to hoop, like, you know that's what my young people are learning, that my returners are, they here to hoop, like they, like, if they could call themselves something, it would be athlete students. Like I
Yeah.
always have to correct them, coach, man, I'm just an athlete student. No, 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 baby. I have to always correct them. So they are the greatest in perseverance, the greatest in character, the greatest of humans that I could ever have the opportunity to coach. And I'm super, super grateful for them.
And I'm sure they're grateful for you and the whole staff. Again, I'm grateful for you.
Oh,
Got to
thank
give you your flowers, your
you.
roses for all you've done and what you will continue to do. Again, I appreciate you coming on the
Thank
show.
No,
We
thank you.
appreciate you.
I
And
appreciate you, man. This was fun.
thank you. And yeah, Cage Breakers, we out here.
We out here.
They're so proud of me, so proud of me. They're so proud of